All right. Greetings. Welcome back to Black Bear News, where everything is connected. How y'all doing? Good to see you. We're live on YouTube, Rockfin, and on Callin. Rockfin people, how you doing? Good to see you. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for watching. Okay. It's Friday. Friday fix day. We'll see what happens today. I'm going to just go through the stories. But we're also going to interact a little bit with the people. All right, good to see you all. And great. Let's get into it. Oh, before we get into it, yeah, my camping trip was great. Thank you, Gene. It was cool. It was cool. Now I'm back into the things, the regular things. Hey, the best way to support this channel is paypal.me/Kevin Sandbloom, Venmo at Kevin Sandbloom, Cash App at Red Llama Music, buymeacoffee.com/BlackBearNews. And you all know where to find those links, which are in the description box. All right. Great. Let's get into it. Let's get ready to rumble. Every day, I'm amazed, aghast, and a wonder at the people that know clearly well that the people in charge aren't doing anything for you. Their intent is not to help you. Their intent is to line their pockets with riches while they're in power. That's why they seek the power. If we had honest, well-intentioned, authentic, altruistic people in charge, the world would be a very different place. And that would be, so it's obvious, it's to me anyways, that the people in charge don't care. And yet, people out there still believe that people in charge are doing things for your benefit. And the problem is a lot of those people are, college educated or, very well read and very smart and very intelligent people. So it makes them harder for them to understand that they're being lied to. Harder for them to understand that they may have believed something that they shouldn't have. It's okay. It's okay. When you get there, to the point where you understand, like, oh, yeah, they don't care. And this thing that I thought was for my benefit or was to help people, turned out it wasn't. It was exactly the opposite of that, of helping people. When you get to that point, just, it's okay. Welcome. Welcome. But you need to get there first before you can figure out which, what to do about it or which way to go or what's, you got to get there first. As long as you still believe that somebody in charge is like, yeah, no, this is, really for your benefit and it's going to help you. And we're just doing, to help people and for the betterment of the people, right? If you still believe that, you're in the way of things getting better, right? It's kind of like climate change. If if you still believe that the people in charge care about climate change or are doing everything in their power to to save the planet, if you still believe that, you're probably in the way of people, of people understanding, at the very least, understanding that we've got to do something completely different. It's okay, though. I know. You got to hold on to hope. You got to hold on to the idea that very smart people are just doing their best. Maybe. Sometimes very smart people are doing their best, sure. But to what end, for whom are you doing it? Deline says, let's start with shutting down all nuclear facilities. Did you all see that there are protests about the releasing of the Fukushima waters? Here we go. From Reuters, protests mount in South Korea over Japan's plans to release the tritiated waters. Oh, Jesus, I hate you. Oh boy, yeah, I don't. There we go. There were protests in a number of Asian countries, as well as in Tokyo, following the controlled... God dang it. Look, man. Hold on 1 second. Let's try this one. Sorry, I'm trying to find some website that will not freak out over the fact that I have ad blockers. Protests against release of treated water from Fukushima nuclear power plant. Are you guys going to give me a story? Good Lord. Apparently I can't get any story here. Let's try the BBC. Protests and seafood bans. Here we go. This is from August 24th, which is yesterday. What happened today? 12 years after the nuclear disaster at Fukushima, Japan began releasing some of the contaminated water from the plant into the Pacific Ocean. Despite widespread opposition, the government and plant operators, TEPCO, went ahead with the plan, carefully vetted by the UN atomic regulator. Now, do you all think that's a very smart move? Why? Japan used water to cool the plant's reactors when it went into meltdown in 2011, and this highly radioactive water was then treated and collected in tanks every day. But the site was running out of storage space. It was treated to remove all radioactive elements except tritium, which is very difficult to remove. Very difficult. The water was diluted to reduce radioactivity to 1,500 becquerels per liter, far below the drinking water standard of 10,000 becquerels. Well, so that should make you feel a lot better. How did it? So there were citizen protests in Japan and South Korea, but China's government came out swinging, labeling Japan as selfish and irresponsible. Said the country that's building like 100 coal-fired power plants in the next 20 years. Selfish and irresponsible. But what we're going to need is some more coal. Anyways. It also imposed a ban on all seafood from Japan. Oh. So China banning seafood from Japan. So we're going to move to Maui. God dang it. Why is it doing this? I hate that. Sorry about that, guys. Really? You're having trouble finding that site? Okay. Hold on. There we go. Let's try this. From Revolutionary Blackout Network. Seen multiple videos of Hawaiians complaining about Ukraine aid after seeing what they are getting. The sentiment is spreading fast across Hawaii and around the nation. The NATO left has no idea how out of touch they are and how screwed Democrats are. I'm gonna tell you right now. Anybody who's still like, yay, guy, Democrat, liberal. Yay, whatever they're telling me on CNN. I'm telling you right now, take heed of what this person is trying to tell you. Take heed. You are out of touch. Out of touch. Out of touch. Out to lunch. You know, not clear on the big picture. Let's listen to this woman. These are like screenshots of a video, but we're going to listen to her. And she's going to say, there was another video of Biden like showing up in Hawaii and people standing on the side of the road. And this woman reiterates the sentiment. I think people are getting clear on the understanding on the big picture that the Biden administration doesn't care about you, does not care about you, is fully corrupt, is fully irresponsible, is not leading us into anywhere good. Are you clear on that picture? Dear God, that doesn't mean I want Trump. I just listened to Trump. Apparently, the Trump interview with Tucker Carlson got more views than the GOP debate the other night. But I tried to listen to that interview, but Trump is... It's hard to listen to Trump talk about. Trump sounds a lot like Kanye West on Joe Rogan, which is like, what are you talking about exactly? I can't even understand what you're saying because you're just blathering about things that barely make any sense. And the whole time Tucker Carlson is like looking at him like, really? Like, I don't know how this thing got so many views because Trump sounds completely like he is old as well. Why we are listening to almost 80-year-old people trying to tell us what is good for the country or what it is they intend to do. Why are we listening to these people? Why are you voting for these people? Why are you care about these people? We need somebody with some brains and some, intellect and some energy and some, heart, something. So, dear God, that does not mean I want Trump anywhere near the presidency. No. But Biden, real bad, super bad, super bad as far as presidents go. So we're on a bad streak. We're on a pretty bad streak. Anyways, let's listen to this woman. An indigenous Lahaina local tells me she lost her house, pets, medicine, and cash savings. She can't get a call back from FEMA and has yet to see any type of U.S. aid relief. She says Joe Biden should keep his insulting $700 because of the gazillions he's sending to Ukraine.
Today, I haven't had any money come in. I haven't had anybody call me back. I didn't have anything. I have no idea. I lost my house. I lost my car. I lost my animals. I mean, come on, man. We're not getting anything. Till today, I still didn't get my meds. I cannot get my meds yet. My medicine was all burnt in my house. My rent money was all burnt in my house. I have no money anymore. I think Joe Biden should take his $700 and get back on the fucking plane and go home. That's what I think. Because $700 compared to all the millions he's giving to Ukraine, why? We need it. That's why we don't understand why. We're citizens and we cannot get money. But if they're not citizens, they get gazillions of dollars from the USA. Where's our government? Fix your house before you fix somebody else's house.
This is how, like, your community, other Hawaiians, locals, indigenous people, is that how they feel, pretty much how you feel?
Everybody feels that way. Come on. That's why the local people stick together and we help our own people, because we know the outside people are not going to do it.
I don't know whether it's not clear or apparent whether she's a Democrat or Republican. And Hawaii is mostly, super Democrat, just like California. It's like a super Democratic state. She sounds pretty, I don't know. Sounds pretty dejected and dispirited by the state of, what's going on. Schulte says, Trump's base still think he's the most honest man, leader, role model, hero, God. Basically, he can do nothing wrong. Sure. So does Biden's base, too. They think he's super honest, great guy, loving dad. As pathetic as Trump's base is, Biden's base, pathetic. Oh, no, he's trying his best. He's kind of old. He's getting up there, but God, he's a good, he's just trying hard. Yeah. Both bases, pathetic. Jordan Chariton will still vote Biden. God, exactly. Pathetic. Kyle Kalinske, still vote Biden. Pathetic. I hope I'm making somebody feel bad, because pathetic. If you feel bad right now, as good as you should. If you feel like, oh, well, I don't know, I kind of liked Biden. I thought maybe, I think he's doing okay. Yeah. Schultze says, I'm not for either one, though. It's funny if one criticizes the other one, people think I voted Hill. Yeah, no, of course. I mean, if I'm criticizing Biden, or if I'm just talking about the silliness of like how the media goes after Trump, it means I love Trump. It doesn't mean that. It doesn't mean that. But yeah, you're right, Schultze. You're right. I was just pointing out that yes, Trump's base is pathetic. Like, I was just pointing that out. And also Biden's base. Anyways. All right.
Good afternoon. Been a minute.
Yeah, it's been a while. Where you been, man? How you been?
I've been okay. I just been a little preoccupied, I guess.
Sure.
I would say that the real problem we have, Kev, is every time we start to have serious discussions, people will come in and say, like on Q, and you know this as well as I do, we need to have a rational, balanced discussion. And everything gets shifted down a gear and then we're wondering where we are in a year from now. People are actually trying to pretend like they don't know what's going on. And I think that's a real big problem, is the fact that the rational, balanced discussion thing does not work, especially with all of these issues that are coming at us rationally at once, to just use a coin of a phrase.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, all of it. I'll give you a perfect example. You know, Andrew Tate, who's on a social media spree of just going nonstop with clips over and over again,
Is he?
commenting on issues.
Yeah.
He said he wants to be a climate activist, a climate change activist.
Okay.
And his point was that he doesn't have to do anything. He can just fly on his private jet and say he's for the Earth. And in that sense, like I've said before, a broken clock is right twice a day.
He's right. He's right. He is
He's
absolutely right. Yep.
That's all you have to do now. And I think the problem is that there's no litmus test anymore, if there ever was. And I'm sure there was to some degree with some people. But now, if you have the gift of gab, Kev, you see it with Trump. He doesn't have to do anything. The fact that he gets away with the Epstein thing is absolutely
it's
a
wild.
work of art.
Right. And it's funny because Tucker asked him in that interview about Epstein.
Mm-hmm.
And Trump's answer was so stupid. It was like, well, I don't know. I think he killed himself. I mean, looks like he killed himself. And then Tucker's like, well, no, actually, I think he was murdered. And then Trump's like, oh, yeah, well, yeah, he probably was. I was like, okay, dude, what do you think? Like,
if that was an honest,
he doesn't have a gift of gab. He just like blathers. He just wow. Things come out of his mouth that don't make any sense, and people are like, "This guy is so great." It was like, okay.
If that was an honest interview, they would have played in the background of him partying with Epstein back in the 90s,
right,
or the 80s.
I was kind of like Tucker, you know, the whole time Tucker was like kind of jabbing him here and there, but I was like, man, you could have jabbed a lot harder there, Tucker.
But this goes back to like, you know, so many people who just decided to go along with. To me, I really that really opened up my eyes of how many people just went along with Trump on so many different issues. The fact that I think it all has to do with that fear of being left out completely, and then also the marketplace of the way that America is set up right now. They will turn on you in a second if you anger someone that's their hero.
Sure. Yeah.
And you see that with, you know, a perfect example is getting back to like not just Trump, but just name the political figure that is of the moment at the moment. And I think that's the problem, is that the theme, I think, is we're becoming more and more spectators, and it's becoming worse for us.
Yeah.
And now we're left with this giant floating question mark. Now what? And it keeps on echoing through every single day. Now what? Now what? Now what?
My question is, where did RFK Jr. go? It's really weird. So he went on Jimmy Dore, and then he kind of got in this thing with Max Blumenthal about Israel. You know, they kind of they had this back and forth, and it kind of became very apparent that his stance on Israel was very unpopular. And I know, or maybe I'm just not seeing him in my thread anymore. Maybe that I'm being hid, but I swear to God, he just disappeared. Like, where is he? Have you seen RFK Jr. anywhere? Has he been making any statements lately? I mean, I know he was doing like a big like press tour, but he just kind of like faded a little bit in the last like week or so, maybe 2 weeks. I just haven't seen him out. I'm like, what happened? Where is he? Like, he's just not even in the conversation anymore. And that seems really weird to me.
I think your dog is trying to tell us where.
She's like, let me come in and do the show with you.
Yeah, I'm gonna leave it there, and I just wanted to touch in and give my 2 cents on what's happening. You know, with the whole RNC debate, the fact that You know, when he said climate, when Vivek said climate change, what was funny to me was they all booed him when he said it was a hoax.
Oh yeah,
It's like,
yeah.
that's
No.
exactly what they wanted. That's what your audience wants. That's what they want to hear.
I
And
mean,
they booed him.
yeah, no. I mean, I don't know. They booed him. I think that was interesting that they booed him.
You know what it has to do with? I think it has to do with this. It's like, don't reveal our position. It's the same thing with abortion, you know? You just want people to hint at it,
Right.
dog whistle,
Right.
do whatever.
Right, but when you come out and just
Really,
say it's a
you are
hoax,
an
like,
enemy.
hold on there, pal. Yeah.
All right, Kev, I'm going to leave it there. R.I.P. to
All right.
Robbie Robertson.
Okay.
Great, band leader.
R.I.P. to Robbie Robinson. Yes.
All right, Kev, later.
Peace. Anyways, good call. Thanks for calling in, Fantomas. Paper drinking straw. I mean, you know, sure. Paper drinking straws are as bad for the planet as plastic. Who would have guessed? The presence of PFAS in paper and bamboo straws show they are not necessarily biodegradable. Eco-friendly paper drinking straws contain long-lasting and potentially toxic chemicals, a new study has concluded. I'm just reading this for the headline. Of course. Yeah, I haven't. RFK Jr. has kind of dropped off the radar. I don't know why. I'm not really sure. It seems a little strange to me. Or not. Maybe he's just chilling out for a second. Maybe he's rethinking his position on things. I'm not sure. So much of what we do, there's better answers than paper drinking straws, I guess. Or maybe, you know, the whole thing about drinking straws is that we've led people to believe that, like, you can't put your lips on the edge of a cup. Like, you know, it's like we've developed this whole thing about, you know, sanitary. Is it sanitary? Like, I can't put my lips on the edge of this cup. Oh my God, I might die. Right? So I got to have a straw. Like, you don't even need a straw. Like, Jesus Christ, just get a cup, put it up to your mouth and drink like people have drunk for thousands of years. It's not that hard. You don't even need a straw. That's the thing. The conversation isn't even the right conversation that we're having about anything. Plastic straw or paper straw? How about no straw? You don't even need a straw. How about that? How about don't eat fast food? Don't go to a place that gives you a cup and a plastic lid and a straw in it, inside of a bag and inside of a cardboard. Don't do that. Get a bottle. It's a metal bottle or something. That doesn't have any rubber or plastic on it. Just get a metal bottle, canteen can, fill it with water, bring it with you, or put Coke in it or iced tea or whatever it is that you want to drink. How about that? How about that as an answer? Why are we even talking about straws? Straws are stupid. Straws are for lunatics. I'm being hyperbolic. But straws literally are for lunatics. Like, human beings have become lunatics. We need a straw because, oh my God, I can't put my lips on a cup. You can put your lips on a cup. It's fine. You're not going to die. You're not going to get some horrible, you know, fungus or disease or something from putting your lips on a cup. Just put your lips on a goddamn cup and drink. Just cut it out. Sorry, I've had a lot of coffee today. Anyways. You know, remember like all those terrible diseases people got from drinking from cups directly? Like, oh my God. We've lost our minds. We have that's why I say humans are lunatics. We have lost our minds because we actually believe the stuff that we've been fed our entire lives. Oh my God. I'm a germaphobe. No, you're a moron. You're not a germaphobe. You're a moron. If you're a germaphobe, go vacuum your carpet. I bet your carpet is disgustingly dirty. I bet somewhere in your house is disgustingly dirty, but you're walking around going, I'm a germaphobe. You're not a germaphobe. Not really. And we shouldn't be germaphobes. We have germs serve a purpose. Bacteria serves a purpose. We come in contact with it every day. The more you come in contact with it, the better your immune system works. Your immune system works better. If you live in a bubble, of course you're going to get sick every time you walk out of the bubble, but that's, that's the trap that they've got us in now. Oh, if I don't wear a face mask and I have a bubble over my head and wear gloves all the time, and if I touch anything whatsoever, I might get sick. Well, of course you're going to get sick if you never fucking touch anything. You lunatic. And all of it is from this, fear of death and being sick and, all that stuff. Let's see. Contemplative pragmatist says, Sabby Sabs interviewed a gentleman who really explained how horrible things in Palestine are. Very enlightening and changed my opinion on RFK Jr. Dr. West for me. Cornel West might be looking better and better. Creative experiments, polio and pinworms are transmitted by fecal matter, though. Yeah, that's fine, but don't, roll around in fecal matter. I don't know, wash your hands, wash your cups, but I mean, there's not, there's so little fecal matter just like, all up in your life, really. Like there's not, it's just, like basic sanitation will take care of that. Anyways, watch out for that fecal spray. Creative experiments. Want to close the lid of your toilet because fecal spray. You know what? I've probably come in contact with so much fecal spray in my life, and I'm still alive, and I haven't contracted polio or pinworms. Exactly. Jazz Farm. My world is surrounded by fecal matter. Yeah, I literally, there's dog poop everywhere. There's, fecal spray up, everywhere. Like, oh my God, we might die. You're not going to die. Just wash your hands or something. Take a shower. You're fine. You are fine. Anyways. Have I made enough people mad today? Probably. Just, we just need to take the whole human, the whole human psychosis like down about 86 notches, right? There's just, humans have become just walking psychotic lunatics. Because we're so afraid of dying or getting sick or something. Anyways. There was something I wanted to read here. Actually, Scott Andrews posted this on Facebook. Hey, Scott, sorry. I grabbed this from your Facebook feed. Major population correction coming for humanity, scientist predicts. You know who the scientist is. A little over 2 centuries ago, in the year 1800, roughly 1 billion people called Earth home. Just a century later, it had grown by another 600 million. Today, there are around 8 billion people on the planet. That sort of growth is unsustainable for our ecosphere, risking a population correction that, according to a new study, could occur before the century is out. The prediction is the work of population ecologist William Rees. You guys know William Rees. He's on Nate Hagen's show all the time. from the University of British Columbia in Canada. He argues that we're using up Earth's resources at an unsustainable rate, that our natural tendencies as humans make it difficult for us to correct this advanced ecological overshoot. The result could be some kind of civilizational collapse that corrects the world's population, Rees says, one that could happen before the end of the century in a worst-case scenario. In such an event, even the richest societies would be completely vulnerable, Rees estimates. Homo sapiens have evolved to reproduce exponentially, expand geographically, and consume all available resources, Rees writes in his published paper. For most of humanity's evolutionary history, such expansionist tendencies have been countered by negative feedback. However, the scientific revolution and the use of fossil fuels reduced many forms of negative feedback, enabling us to realize our full potential for exponential growth. That's our full potential for growth. So this is a very important paragraph. For most of humanity's evolutionary history, our expansionist tendencies have been countered by negative feedback. What's a negative feedback? Pandemics, famine, climate change, even, smaller level climate change. But we have outsmarted a lot of these negative feedbacks in order to grow to 8 billion. But we will not outsmart the bigger of the feedbacks. Probably not. It's most likely not going to happen. Rees points out that our dominance over the planet has made us forget that we are still governed by natural selection. What's more, our natural inclination towards short-term thinking, which served us exceedingly well in our evolutionary past, continues to compel us to make or take as much as we can possibly get when it's available. This has fueled the excessive consumption and pollution that a portion of the current world population is now responsible for, which is set to increase as financial security and population size increase, Rees argues. A changing climate is evidence of the strain the planet is already under, but it's only a tiny fraction of the overall problem of overshoot, Rees argues. As Rees points out, as we continue to use an abundance of fossil fuels, we're simultaneously ignoring the other symptoms of overshoot too. From a consumption of biomass to the disruption of planetary nutrient cycles, these interlinked problems are all propelling Earth's sixth mass extinction and risking a chaotic breakdown of our planet's essential life support systems. What's more, our proposed solutions, such as switching to renewables, don't actually address the problem of exponential population growth, and in fact further contribute to the excess consumption that goes along with it. The question is whether improvements in technology and everything from combating climate change to increasing food production are capable of keeping pace with the growing demands our consumption places on the planet. If innovation can't provide solutions, food shortages, habitat instability, war, and disease may well start to make an impact in population numbers, this study predicts. While no major symptom of overshoot can be adequately addressed in isolation from the others, addressing overshoot directly would reduce all important symptoms simultaneously, Rees explains. Which is one of the reasons why they won't allow, you're not allowed to have this conversation. Why? Because it runs directly counter to the paradigm of exponential growth, of economic growth. Everything is economic growth, economic growth, economic growth. If you have degrowth of population, you're going to have degrowth of the economy, and we can't have that. At least not right now. In the best of all possible worlds, listen to this. So when people are talking about overshoot or overpopulation, they are not saying, who are you going to kill first? They're not saying, well, these people over here got to go. There's too many of these people over here. That's not what they're saying. Rees says, in the best of all possible worlds, the whole transition might actually be managed in a way that prevents unnecessary suffering of millions or billions. Right. So blindly walking into this situation without, having a conversation about it, or without allowing the thinking about it, the consideration of it, just blindly running into this brick wall is going to actually be more of who you're going to kill first than having a conversation about overpopulation. He's saying this is not happening and cannot happen in a world blind to its own predicament, meaning a managed transition that would lessen the suffering of humans. So this is a pro-human conversation. This is not an anti-human conversation. This is pro-human. If you if you bringing it down to a very localized level, if you have too many kids and you can't feed them, if you have 10 kids and you can't feed your kids, and some of your kids starve to death because you can't feed them, that's really messed up. That's super messed up, irresponsible, and allowing for suffering. But if you take stock of your situation and you say, I have enough resources to feed 4 kids or 2 kids, and you have 2 or 4 kids, and you manage your resources well, that's called thinking it through. So having a conversation about overpopulation or overshoot or any of those things is a pro-human conversation. Even if we shouldn't even be the focal point of we're the center of everything, of course, but still having that conversation is a pro-human conversation. Not having the conversation is the most anti-human thing you could possibly do. Anyways, I've said enough. Yep. Bunch of baby penguins died because the Arctic refreeze is happening too slowly. Sorry, it's getting a little slow in here. The slow partial refreeze of Antarctic is having devastating ecological impacts. Warming seas caused the sea ice that baby penguins live on to break up early, killing them before they have matured enough to survive in the water. As many as 10,000 baby penguins may have died. Just another impact of this. Switching gears, let's listen to Dave Smith talking on Joe Rogan about how U.S. intelligence agencies propagandize the American people. And everyone believes them. Must have been the Russians, because the Russians are so bad. The Russians are terrible, horrible people, and they just they're just messing our whole democracy up. Oh my God. Our country is like, I was watching this movie. I can't remember the title of the movie. I was watching this movie, and in a scene in the movie, there's a family driving through Texas late at night. They're on a road trip, family trip. And this gang of hoodlums comes by in a car, and they run them off the road. And they're run off the road, and then they all get out of they park right in front of them, cut them off. And this gang of hoodlums jumps out, and they're like, "Why did you hit my car? You could have run me off the road." And the people in the car are completely terrified. That's the United States is the car full of hoodlums. We run people off the road, and then we're like, "Why did you do that? Why did you threaten us? Why did you hit my car?" That's who we are. That is exactly who we are. I know. You want to think that we're the good people and the good guys. I know you do. I know. At least the people driving the car are a gang of hoodlums running people off the road, pointing at them, at the people they ran off the road, or someone else and saying, "Why did they do that?" So, in this, Dave Smith eloquently describes how our own intelligence agencies screwed over the American people and then pointed at the Russians and said their fault. And everybody was like, yup.
Was it 51 intelligence officials that signed off on the fact that the Hunter Biden laptop was disinformation?
Yes, I believe including 4 former heads of the CIA. And it's really something because there's no like demand for accountability for those people. Yeah. Like, hey, explain yourself. You know, like, how did you sign off on this? Blatant election interference, you know, and it's one of these things like, this is why when the Trump supporters who say that they stole the election believe that the election machines were rigged or that there was ballot stuffing, it's like, even if they're not right about that, which I don't know, I mean, I've never seen compelling evidence that that is the case. But it's kind of like I use the example of like if you were like if you're cheating on your wife and then she's like you know, like you're cheating on her and then she's like, I know Friday when you were out, I know you were cheating on me, and you weren't that Friday cheating on her. Like, even though she's wrong, she's really right. Like, she might be wrong about that specific day, but she knows
Right.
she knows you're like
Right.
like they know this whole thing is illegitimate. Like, you stole it,
Right.
and they really did. They really did. I mean, they suppressed the October bombshell that would have very likely tipped the election in Trump's favor.
Yeah.
And tried to make it seem again that Russia was, you know, stealing our elections, which is another major factor in the whole Russia-Ukraine conflict. That, first of all, what an insane provocation of Russia it was for the last 6 years to have not just people in the corporate press, but like the former head of the CIA, you know, like on TV every day saying Russia attacked our democracy. They interfered in our election and then also claiming that they were in a partnership with Donald Trump to steal it from Hillary Clinton. And I heard senators and congressmen and every media pundit, people from the FBI, the CIA, constantly saying on TV that this was an act of war by Russia. That they would say it's worse than Pearl Harbor, what they did. And so if you're, from the Russian perspective, you're sitting there and you see the most war-hungry country in the world, the country that in the last 20 years has fought 7 wars, you know, led to the deaths of hundreds of thousands of people, destroyed nations.
Millions.
And they're out there saying, you just committed an act of war against us. I mean, like, that's quite an aggressive posture, particularly when they all knew it was bullshit. They all knew from the very beginning. And so you had all of that, and then they tried to do it again in 2020, claimed this was a Russian operation to you know, interfere in the election. And meanwhile, all of it was actually a U.S. intelligence agency's operation to interfere in the election, just from the other side.
It's so crazy. It's so crazy that this is not a mainstream narrative and that the news ignores this. They also ignore, during the debates when Joe Biden was saying that, you know, my son didn't make any money over there and I have nothing to do with my son's business. Like, it's all lies. It's all easily proven, and there's nothing.
Yeah. And of course, if Trump, you know, like, the moderator doesn't push back during that debate and say, excuse me, Mr. Biden, that's just not true.
Right.
Like, we know there's no pushback on that. They just let him get away with it. And he gets to stand up there and say, hey, look, all of these intelligence officials, they tell me, they're backing up my story, that this laptop is Russian disinformation. And I don't know exactly what it is now, but I remember there were, they had like opinion polls on this after the Mueller investigation, and it's still an enormously high percentage of Democratic voters believe that Trump and Russia were Trump and Putin were involved in a conspiracy to steal the election. They still believe it to this day because they heard Trump-Russia collusion every day nonstop. And that is a huge part of why they support this war in Ukraine, because they think we're fighting the country who overthrew our democracy and gave us Donald Trump for 4 years. It's all just complete bullshit, but they believe it.
Yeah. Well done. Dave Smith breaking it down very nicely. Anyways, that about wraps it for me, guys. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. And y'all know we're here every day at noon Pacific Daylight Time. You know how we do it. Rockfin people, how you doing? Still hanging in there? Very good. Very good. Lots of people here are growing their own food. Jazz Farm talking about growing his own food and giving people lessons on growing food. Y'all should take him up if you're of the mind. And I think it's a good thing to start with, right? Being self-sustaining, growing your own food, tending your garden, as it were, as Camus suggested. All right. Thank you, guys. Peace out to you, and I'll see you tomorrow.